This review is painful. It's going to be painful to do. It's probably going to be, it's more than slightly cruel, because having read Thyla, as in thylacine, by a young author from Tasmania, that's Kate Gordon, I enjoyed it so much that I went on to read the second in the series. That's vuLpi, and it's not good. I'm afraid it's really not good. Thyla was a great book. I really enjoyed it. It was not a flawless book by any means. You could tell that the author was a young person, and you could tell that her writing experience wasn't extensive. This was only her second book. But despite those things, it worked and I enjoyed it a great deal. So Thyla was published in 2021. vuLpi was published the next year. It feels like it needed a lot more work, a lot more editing, and a lot more thought. It needed a lot of feedback that it didn't get. It's also considerably thicker than Thyla, and it shouldn't be. It could easily be trimmed significantly because there's a lot of repetition and there's a lot not happening for a lot of it. Okay, so one of the things that worked about Thyla is that you had a teenage girl who's the main character, and she starts off not having her memory, and most of it happens in her experience of rediscovering who she is, and a lot of that setting is a girls' school in Tasmania near Hobart. A young author can cope with that sort of scenario. She knows the scenarios that girl groups in schools, a lot of them are stereotyped, but it works. In vuLpi, we have another teenage girl. But she isn't in school, she's out in a version of the real world, and I don't think the author's life experience was adequate to the purpose. So this book was very not great. Okay, in vuLpi, okay, spoilers, all of this is spoilers. If you're actually going to read it, and I don't recommend that, I don't. If you enjoyed Thyla, enjoy it and walk away. If you're going to read this, don't watch any further. So here we start with a character called Kat. Kat is a character in the first book, in Thyla, but we hear about her. She's a girl that's vanished. She's the daughter of the policewoman who helps the main character in the first book on her way with her memory loss. Here we start with Kat. Kat's turned into a shapeshifter, another Thyla, which is basically a thylacine. And she's living in a camp in the woods for some reason. That is never really explained, and it's only the start of many things that are never really explained. As it goes here, now that she's turned, she can't possibly go back to that school. Is the answer to live in the middle of the woods around a campfire? Wouldn't have said so, wouldn't have thought so. The reason of not wanting to go back to school and the complete lack of any explanation for why the only option is a campfire in the woods for her and one other girl. No, all the explanations are poor or childish or unlikely. None of them make sense. So the main companion around this fireplace is Delphi, who is another teenage girl who's been transformed into a thylacine. She's in love with Kat. Kat doesn't swing that way. She likes boys, not girls. The theme of Delphi is utterly appalling. The way she's described is superficial, unnatural, and childish. Her entire story arc is cringeworthy. And it's impossible to care about because none of it feels remotely real. Okay, there's also some laborious treaty going on between the shapeshifters who turn into thylacines and the shapeshifters who turn in the Sarkos who turn into Tasmanian devils. But the treaty isn't described like an adult would describe a treaty. It's described like someone who's very young would describe a treaty, and it doesn't work. It's never properly explained. Also, in this book, we see a lot more of shape-shifting, and that also is not explained, and it doesn't work. So there's things like she transforms into a thylacine because she can run faster. So she transforms in the woods, she runs to the school, she transforms back into a human, and then she takes out the crop top and the bracelet from her trousers so that when she transforms back into a human, she's not nude. But I've got no idea how that works in the author's head, but it hasn't gone from her head into the book. It's like if she's transforming with her clothes, and that's how she's got jeans on, then why doesn't her crop top and t-shirt transform? If she's transforming into a not clothed being, then why did the jeans re-emerge but not anything else? I have no idea what she's doing there. The shape-shifting in this one is more of a feature than it was in the first, and it needed explanation. It really did. Now, I finished this a long time ago, and I tried to go straight onto this one, and it didn't work, and I thought, okay, that will happen. Need a break. Read plenty of other books in between, came back to this one. It still didn't happen. It's never going to. There's too much wrong. So the actual plot is completely obfuscated by the fact that it's all narrated by Kat. And Kat is a teenager, but fails to hold together as a character for me, at least for me. Kat doesn't seem like a real person. She feels like someone the author really likes or feels like it's a manifestation of her. But we learn things about her, usually in info dumps that are given at really inappropriate times, but she doesn't feel like a character like Tessa did in the first one. Also in this book, we've got many, many more secondary characters than we did in the first one, and mostly they are not well done either. Delphi, I already said, is not well done. Isaac, who is the leader, is a stereotype. A few others pop up and emerge every now and then, and you can virtually tell what their role in the story is going to be by how much attention they're given. It's never very much, but it's impossible not to see that the hot ambulance guy is going to be the bad guy. It's impossible not to see that bad things are going to happen to certain people. They are set up too obviously, which is not great. Now back to the info dumps. The first part of the book maybe not so bad in that nothing much happens and we don't really learn much about anything, but it's not terrible, it's just blah and meh, but yeah. So on page 43, Kat and Delphio are hanging out in the forest for some reason that I honestly still don't get. Are chatting about all the things they miss about being human. Kat misses hot showers and books, and Delphi misses new metal bands because the bad girl is a metal fan. It's like, oh man, just kill me now. Of course, if you like metal, you're going to be the bad girl, right? But the thing is, they are still human. They're human most of the time. They can choose to transform or not. And you're living in the forest and missing out on hot showers, books, and junk food. That's not required because you're the only two who are doing it. Everyone else is living in civilization with the hot showers and books and the rest of it. So you are human while you're talking about this, and all the others are enjoying these things. Why did no one who read this book for the author not point out some of these things? Kate, your friends, your first readers should have been saying to you the things that I'm saying now. They really should have. Okay, let's look at a couple of other things. I think I tagged a few of them in here. Oh yes, Delphi loves cat. Cat doesn't. Oh. And then Delphi doesn't like the Sarkos, that's the Tasmanian devil shapeshifters. She's violently anti them from the start. She objects to the treaty, and eventually she compromises the whole treaty by murdering a whole lot of them, which everyone saw coming. The leader says, I knew she had a problem. Cat has been up in the forest with her, watching her have a problem. Everyone knew she had a problem. Why did no one address this problem? The girl is disturbed. She doesn't like her life. She hates things. No one knows her background. How do they not know it? It's telegraphed so dramatically that we know it, or we know enough of it anyway. The big horrible reveal about how her father's a demon, it's like, okay, we knew there was a problem. That's the problem. Why wasn't that addressed 50 pages earlier by someone who actually knows you? That one, Delphi really annoyed me. The representation of non-binary people in fiction is a big thing these days. I guess in 2012, when this was published, it was just starting to be a thing, and people were finding their way, trying to incorporate a wider variety of human choices into mainstream fiction, in this case for young adults. That's a good thing. The fact that the non-binary girl is a heavy metal crazy who then kills people, did you have to, really? Okay, now at page 287, this one really bugged me as well. So we head up into this great big battle at the end. And this is really a huge problem in this book, which it wasn't maybe quite so much in the first one. If you're a young person living in Tasmania, the chances of you knowing how to write scenes, is probably not great. And it really comes across here. There are a lot of fights and a lot of bad stuff in this book, and they are not well written. They are very, very poorly written, which is hard to read for me. I think it will be hard to read for anyone who enjoys a good battle scene. And on page 278, there's a particularly wonderful example. They've gone back to the school because they know the school's about to be attacked by demons. And we've got all the shapeshifters there, and we've got some of the humans there, whatever. Kat hears a scream coming from upstairs, so she and Rihanna, who's a normal human, is it Rihanna? Yeah, normal human, though she used to be a shapeshifter, are climbing the stairs because a girl screamed, something bad is happening. Climb the stairs to find out what bad is happening and possibly save the girl. And they chatter the whole way up about how they used to room together and how someone's stuffed and how unhappy they are. They're chattering as they walk up these stairs towards this bad thing happening. You don't need to be an experienced writer of battle scenes to know you don't chatter when you're trying to sneak up on someone who's doing something bad. This is not rocket science. Okay, so to me, there was no story consistency. I finished it, and I'm still not entirely sure what she was trying to do. The demons are the bad guys. There's a huge info dump at the end, what the terrible plot that the demons are up to is. There's the bad guy who's the traitor. There's the vuLpi, but that's a fox person from England who's hundreds of years old, and Kat is crushing on at the end. Sure. He tells her a little bit more of the history of shapeshifting in general. But there was felt like there was no story continuity. The plot integrity, there were just these bubbles of plot that would plop up every now and then we'd go back to info dumping. The attempted fight scenes, oh my god, they were so bad. Every single one of them was bad. In the middle of a fight scene, you would stop to have a big info dump. Kat and her mother have one of the most cringeworthy reunions I have ever had the misfortune to skim read through just before the main battle at the school, because that's the time and place, guys. That's definitely the time and place. What can I say? There was an ending. It ended. I was very grateful when it ended. I was so close to the ending that I felt that I had to read through, but it was very, very unenjoyable to do so. Now, on the positive side, I feel bad at how much I am ransacking this book, but it's a terrible book. It shouldn't have been published. It needed to be edited. Someone needed to tell her, this does not hold together. Do it better. She was a young author, and she's still writing. She's now writing children's books. The Thyla number 1 and 2 look like they were intended to start off being a whole series about shapeshifters worldwide for young adults. But they stopped after vuLpi, and I'm sure that must be at least partly because either the author or her publishers, or more likely both, realised that this book wasn't very good, and so we didn't keep going with that. Ever since then, Kate Gordon has written a lot of books. They're all children's books for much younger people. I think she phrased it in one interview, books that my daughters can read now. And maybe she will revisit this once. So I don't want to be harsh on the author, but maybe children's books are more her style, and maybe she will come back one day to revisit this world as a mature, experienced writer, write a few young adults. She could even take this world into adult books. It's a brilliant world. And this is why I'm so very emotionally invested in how crap this book really was, because the world building is magnificent. I love the world building. It is well thought out. The shapeshifters, the origin story from England, which we just get a little bit of a hint from here. The fact that we've got the Thylacines and the Tassie Devils in Tasmania. In vuLpi, we discovered there's a whole clan of fox shapeshifters from England, and that they're all over the world, and that it's got something to do with Elizabeth I when they were first created. It's a great world-building effort. The concept is great. There's a lot of shape-shifting novels, especially young adult ones out there, but the concept behind this one felt unusual and refreshing to me. There's so much that could be done with it. This book didn't do it. It didn't do a good job. It didn't do an adequate job. It shouldn't have been. I do hope that one day the author will revisit it and give us something better, because it could be so very good. In the meantime, however, if you read Thyla the First and enjoyed it, I recommend you do not go on to this book at all. It will give you nothing. Kat isn't a good character, or even most of the time a character at all. One of the things that the book tries really, really hard to do, as far as I can tell, it looks like it's got a checklist for positive reinforcement things for young teen girls, and it just went through the list. Be true to who you are. Check. Be the leader. You know you can be. Oh my God, squirm with embarrassment. Reuniting mum and daughter. They both love each other and they totally support each other. And mum doesn't care that the daughter now turns into a thylacine. If she does, because she does it with trousers on and she's got stripes on her back. Whatever. There are so many checkpoints on so many things that are politically correct. It's embarrassing, and they aren't well done because they aren't integrated into the story. It's like you've got people running through the bush to save the school, but oh, there's my mum. Let's have 20 pages worth of emotional reinforcement because the reader needs to read that. Ugh. Okay, 20 minutes is too long to whinge about a book by an author who's a respected author. I respect her. I respect her vision. I don't respect what she did in this book. I respect her vision. I respect the fact that she's got a career in writing, which is way ahead of anything I've got. But 20 minutes of slagging it off, enough. I don't think it should be read. I don't think it should have been published. The first one would have been enough. And if Kate ever comes back to it with all these extra years of experience from 2012 to 2023, that's a lot of extra experience in writing. If she brings that experience back to this world, I will happily go out and revisit it. I will purchase the book even, because I think that it's got great potential. I hope she does better in the future. Oh yes, like, comment, subscribe, that sort of thing.